What's up guys, and I just got a pretty interesting email from a company called Mous. Now these guys make protective smartphone cases, and they said, Aaron, how would you like to throw an iPhone 10 out of a helicopter? Of course, to which I said yes. And what we're doing is throwing not one, but two iPhone 10s from the helicopter. One is going to have one of these protective cases on it, and the other one is going to be bare. But there's a little bit of a catch, because the smartphone that is going to be inside this case is going to be my own. So stakes are high. I'm leaving in about 30 minutes to go to this copter, and I'm going to take you guys with me. So let's see what happens. Just before we go though, I've got to pick my weapon of choice. So we've got three different cases in front of me. One of them is carbon fiber, and two of them are made of wood. So here we've got my pretty brand new looking iPhone 10, at least for now, and we're going to stick it in one of these cases and get going. Alright, so more or less the minute I got there, the helicopter was sitting there waiting on the ground, ready for us to jump in, and the whole crew is just really excited to see what happened. So phones in hand, we pretty much legged it to the chopper, of course extremely dramatic stuff. We were actually ducking, even though there was probably a good 6 foot between us and those blades. I think it felt like it was closer at the time. And within about a minute, we are off. So the plan was we're going to fly to a height of about 1,200 feet, which is a little bit higher than the 45-foot crane drop test that the company last did. And what we've done is set up a landing pad in the field below, and with a little bit of luck, we're going to drop the phone so it lands directly on it. We're going to start by dropping the phone with the case on, and then we're going to drop one without, just for comparison. 5 minutes in, the copter reached a bit of a standstill, and we realise it's time for the throw. So we set up the front camera to record some 720p 240fps slow-mo, and off we go. And it does seem, at least at this point, that the iPhone is heading straight towards the landing pad, which is good news. And even though it is going at 240fps slow-mo, that doesn't change the fact that this is spinning like crazy due to that wind. And bam, it hits the pad, but the phone is still recording, so it's not completely dead. So we'll inspect it when we get to the ground, but there's a little bit more to do yet. We've thrown one of the phones with the case on, now we're going to do one without. So here is the uncased space grey iPhone 10, and it's time. So just like we did with the first one, we're going to chuck it straight out of that little window and see what happens. So we hovered at the spot just for a little bit to make sure the phone had hit the target, and then we started to land pretty quickly. And on the ground at least, it looked like people were pretty happy. As it turns out, the phone that was in the case is completely unscathed. And the other one, as you probably imagine, didn't fare so well. So at this point I was told I was now allowed to keep my iPhone 10, which is literally still in out-of-the-box new condition. But the test doesn't end there. We've got the same iPhone 10 that was dropped bare out of the helicopter, and then we've got a brand new iPhone 10, also space grey, but in a case. And we're going to try throwing them down on a slightly more testing surface, an uneven stone floor. So taking it in turn, starting with the cased phone, what probably seems pretty undramatic from this distance, when seen from close up, is pretty impressive. You can actually see the case absorbing the impact of the shock. That's not quite what happens when the phone is bare. Having said that, the iPhone 10, even without a case, did fare quite a bit better than we were expecting it to. Don't forget this is, as Apple says, the most durable glass ever on a smartphone. So because we vowed not to leave until one of these phones was destroyed, we did it again, but much, much harder. And this is what happened. The uncased iPhone 10 was completely destroyed. We were actually amazed at how much damage this one throw had done to it, but yeah, the cased iPhone 10 was still completely unmarked, including the case. So we took that off just to check, and we did a once over of this phone, and you cannot actually tell it's been dropped at all. A couple of throws later, comparing it side by side to its unprotected cousin was actually kind of funny. The naked iPhone was not only completely unresponsive when you touched the display, but also was a bit of a hazard to hold. There were actually glass shards sticking out from the back of it. I even got one in my hand. Alright, so I'm now back from the drop, and I thought it would be a pretty good opportunity just to take a slightly closer look at the case. To get one thing out of the way, these are not cheap cases. You're looking at about $50 per case, but what you are getting here, which somewhat offsets this, is the real deal when it comes to materials. So if you buy a wood case, you are getting genuine bamboo, or genuine walnut wood, or if you buy the carbon fiber, real aramid carbon fiber. The cases also have a lot of subtle touches, which make you feel like you're paying for a well-considered product. Like the engraved logo on the bottom of the rear of the case, like the unusually shaped cutouts for the speaker grille, which almost give it the appearance of a sports car from the front, to how the lip of the case is actually raised on the top and the bottom of the phone, but then goes down towards the center, which actually makes a lot of sense. It still gives the necessary protection to the front of the phone, while still making the sides completely accessible with your thumb. Whilst it is clear the company has put a fair bit of effort into devising a case that is not too bulky, just because of the type of protection on offer here, it is going to add a fair bit of width and thickness to your device. Speaking of the protection, the technology these particular cases use is called aeroshock, which means the rims of the cases on the inside are stacked with layers of air pockets. And what that does is when the phone is dropped and hits a certain point, redirects the impact so it is spread across the whole case as opposed to being directed at one point. And after all this dropping we've been doing, safe to say it does do what it says on the tin. That is one thing we can't deny. Each case does also come with a triple layered screen protector which combines TPU, silicon and plastic, and it's also built from the ground up to support wireless charging. Alright guys, there we have it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you think it was going to survive that test, or is that kind of a surprising result? With that being said, my name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I'm signing out.